Hello everyone, Sir Cheddar here from the board, bringing you another video. Onto some quick housekeeping information. Dawn and I are soon hoping to upgrade my video setup, so hopefully it will no longer be an iPhone and a dirty carpet. Hopefully this will happen sometime in January, and this is really owed to our sponsors and patrons as well as our viewers, because your support has been really meaningful to us and helping us, allowing us to be able to do things like upgrade our video recording setups. So without further ado, I will be bringing you this keyboard information talk chat. I don't really like calling it a review because I just want to be able to chat about the keyboard without having to have too many labels on what exactly I'm doing. It's just a little bit more fun and relaxing to me. So the board in front of you is pretty unique, and it's a really special board in my collection, and it doesn't really have a name as far as I'm aware of, but I have some identifying characteristics of it which kind of point to what the brand is, but not that much more information is really available to me about it, which is something that I also find very interesting about it. But as a description, it's a 10 keyless keyboard, which is a keyboard, basically a full-size keyboard without a number pad. So it basically has everything except the number pad section of the keyboard. And this keyboard specifically has an aluminum plate, as well as an aluminum case, and a PCB that is Bootmapper client compatible from WinKeyless, but it's not a WinKeyless PCB. One of the aspects of this board which sets it up is the WinKeyless blockers, which you can see right here. It's the aluminum inserts attached to the case which block the location where the WinKeyless keys would go, or where the Windows keys would go. This is mostly for aesthetic purposes, which kind of call back to the days when Windows keys weren't invented yet, and some boards just didn't have a key there, basically. So a lot of the older boards, I think Model M's specifically, they also, like as a very common keyboard design, they didn't have Windows keys, and they kind of just had empty space in the case there. And the most interesting aspect of this keyboard is really how I managed to locate and trade for and find this keyboard. It was posted on Reddit on MechMarket by a Taiwanese user, and he only had a single confirmed trade, and he was asking for a Brobot V1 trade for the keyboard as well as some other things. I had a few Brobot V1s in my collection at the time, but I didn't want to trade any of them. However, I had just gotten into contact with Fliptrick, who's another user who's pretty old school, and he was looking to trade his BBV1 for a keyboard kit. So I actually hopped in my car and I drove down to Anaheim Packing House, which some of you may know if you're locals in the Southern California area, and we met up there and I traded him a Red Scarf 78 kit that was aluminum and gray for the BBV1. This was a time when the maker of Red Scarf, Ferrari, was still relatively easy to contact, and he was actually responding to emails. And so I had bought a few different keyboards from him and a few Red Scarf 78s, and I liked what he was constantly offering, and at the time he was pretty helpful and he was putting out really high quality stuff. So the specific BBV1 which I traded for was actually a really easy to distinguish one. It was a neon green one, and it had a piece of silicone molding material inside of it, and it was like pretty much at the nose of Optimus, or I guess probably Optimus, whatever robot it's designed after. And anyone who has done artisan making has probably had this happen to them at some point. This occurs when the molds start breaking down, the silicone molds, and a piece came loose in the keycap when it was curing, and it basically just cured inside the keycap. So I contacted the Taiwanese user about the trade for the keyboard, and he wanted the BBV1 as well as a Red Hammer Hellboy keycap which I had at the time, and we made a trade. This wasn't all I traded for the keyboard. I also added in PayPal. And lucky for me, everything turned out fine. There was no games were played. Everybody was happy in the end. So, why did I want this board and why does it mean a lot to me? The biggest reason was that I really love the 10 keyless keyboards with the Win keyless style layout. However, at the time, around 2 years ago, they were very, very hard to come by and there was not many options for them. The only options which were really in existence were the TGR Janes, some OTDs, KMax, and LZs, and those are all Korean customs that are really expensive and hard to get. So this was actually going to be the cheapest option for me to get the Win keyless look on a 10 keyless keyboard at the time. The keyboard environment now is very, very different than it was 2 years ago, and now there's plenty of options. Like, you can enter the Mech 27. I'm pretty sure that there's Win keyless, 10 keyless boards like always available now. I'm sure Originative is going to be selling some soon, and they're just much easier to come by. But at the time, they were not, and it was either going to be a huge investment to get one, or you had to, I guess, just wait until a new board came out. But I found this guy, and this was a pretty good option for me at the time. When it arrived, it had ergo clears with 62-gram springs, which are their MX clears with lighter springs than the stock MX clears. However, I changed them to 60-gram. I relubed the springs as well as the switches, and I also fixed a stabilizer issue that the board was having after I completely desoldered the board. I just want to angle the board a little bit so you can see the design of it. So it's pretty hefty and thick, and it definitely has that KMax style to it. It just has solid aluminum on the back, and it has a decent angle, which, as you all know, I don't like, but I just can't get over how aesthetically pleasing I find this board. So I'm willing to suck it up and bear with it, because this board is just, to me, it's just pretty much the pinnacle of keyboard design. Maybe it's one of them. It's just, I love the style a lot. So the keycaps on this keyboard are, the alphas are OG Cherry. These are some OG Cherry keycaps which I salvaged during one of my e-waste trips. And the modifiers, which are these gray keys with the magenta legends, those are actually Magenta Dolce, which was for sale on Originative. That was done at the same time as Sky Dolce Round 2. And they were pretty affordable. They were around $70 for the modifier sets, but for a small run, unique color GMK option, that's pretty fair, especially because of the fact that it was a pretty quick and well done group buy through Originative. So these artisans here, which are blanks, are from Idea23, or as also known as Bus Gamer, and they are they're black with silver glitter, but when they get really or when they get heated up, because they're thermochromatic, they change to pink, which kind of matches with the modifier keys. And I also have 3 of them up here, which are the same. And then the escape key is actually from Don, who's the co-host of the board, as well as the main champion of the board YouTube channel. He actually made this last year for Movember, and the color just matches so well, and the keycap is just, it's so, the reason why I like it so much is because it doesn't stick out. Because he made it with a synth, it is, like, the entire keycap is the keycap, and it's not a sculpting on top of an existing keycap, so it's very low profile, and it just fits in well with keyboards, and it does not stick out. I'm normally a person who prefers blanks, but because it's able to achieve that goal very well, then it definitely is something that I consider very usable and effective as an artisan. So I think that's everything as far as this board goes. I have some other boards which I can do similar videos for. The reason why I jumped onto doing the second video relatively quick was because I was super happy at all the positive feedback which we received on my first video, which I did on 96 key keyboards. It seems like people are enjoying the stories behind them and just like the unique aspects to the keyboards. And I will definitely be trying to put out a few more of these. I still have a few more keyboards in my collection which I could do a similar video for. So once again, thank you very much for all the support, everybody, and definitely, if you haven't yet, check out our podcast at theboardpodcast.com. Every week, me and Don run through some I guess, recent keyboard news, topics, and interesting things going on in the community. And we also do a lot of giveaways, and it's relatively fun. I think it's a lot of fun. I hope other people have fun with it. So thanks again, and have a great day, everybody.